Greetings and welcome everybody to this week's episode of UC Weekly News. I'm your host David Danto, back in my basement office, my studio this week. And I have a good friend of mine on with me, Dan Root. Dan, say hi to everybody. Remind everybody who you are and what you do in our industry.
Hey, Dave, it's great to be here with you. As you said, my name's Dan Root, and I'm the head of Global Strategic Alliances for Meeting Experiences at Barco. And what that means is I lead the relationships between the different vendors, so partners on the platform side, such as Microsoft and Zoom and Cisco and Google, and then also on the hardware side, such as Logitech, Poly, Jabra, just about any brand that you can think of on the AV hardware side of the spectrum.
Terrific. And before that, you were dabbling in the industry analyst side of things for quite a while, right?
Yes. Prior to that, I was the senior analyst actually covering wireless casting and conferencing for Wainhouse Research. And then prior to that, I actually came from SaaS software at a startup called Bluescape in visual collaboration.
Terrific. I just kind of like to let people who watch this show know where people came from so they understand the industry. So you and I were having a conversation at Enterprise Connect, which was 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's confusing at this point, and I was enjoying the fact that this is my favorite video bar that ever came out. It's made of chocolate, and everybody loves it. And that was the Barco ClickShare chocolate video bar. But it sort of started us on a conversation at your booth there about what's happened in the video bar space. When video bars came out just about 5 years ago, they were a really innovative space. There had been a number of them before then, which I used to call soda cracker conferencing, which was a webcam stuck on a speaker, and it wasn't very good. But the first really powerful video bar where, it was an EPTZ camera and it followed actions, and some of them had codecs in them, and it was really innovative. And 5 years later now, it's really just a commoditized product. Everybody's got one. Some are good, some are not so good. The only thing that really differentiates them in the market at this point are feature sets, because in many cases they're even being built by third parties for some of these manufacturers that are out there. So you never really know what you're going to be getting unless you use it. You were introducing me to Barco's new ClickShare Bar, which I'm told is now available, right? Have you got one around you can show people?
Yes, absolutely. I've actually got one right here off screen for us. This is the ClickShare bar that we were talking about and showing off at Enterprise Connect, and we actually unveiled it at ISE earlier this year. And there are two flavors of this bar, but they look identical within the room. And one is called the ClickShare Bar Core, and the other is the ClickShare Bar Pro. Essentially, the main differentiators here are around the ancillary connected devices within the room. The Pro is going to be able to support things like dual display output. It's also going to have a wired fallback so that you could connect an in-room PC or device as well. So those are some of the key features or differentiators. But as far as how the bar will look in the room, it's going to look identical regardless of which one you have. Same amount of microphones, speakers, and the same camera. The Pro does also get some additional AI features around group framing, speaker tracking, and things like that you would expect from a bar of this size for a medium conference room.
As long as you're holding it up, just 1 second. This is not what I want to talk about, but as long as you are, I love the fact you had that cool magnetic lens cap there, where it's magnetic when it covers the lens, and it's magnetic when it sticks on top of the unit, so you never lose it. That was actually an interesting design. I had not seen that on any other features. You can kind of turn that sideways and it won't fall, right?
Yeah, so that's the other thing that's actually really nice about the way that we built in the wall stand or wall mount as well as the stand. They're actually integrated into the same mount that's attached to the bar itself, which means that if you're wall mounted, the only thing you have to do to get access to the connectivity in the back is just roll the bar down. And as you can see, that magnet holds there so that it's not going to fall off. And then once you're done, you can roll it right back up. And you'll also notice I have the back popped off, but we actually have a really nice cover that goes right there for you so that all of your cables are hidden and out of reach, so to speak, when you're in your day-to-day use.
Okay, so cool. So I did want to point that out while you were holding it up, and I'll let you put it down or put it aside or whatever is comfortable for you, and let's talk through it, because it's difficult to really conceptualize what's going on there unless you really break it down. And I struggled with it then, and I'm struggling with it a little now. So I'm going to ask your help, and you can kind of explain it to people. If we talk about the ClickShare in and of itself, the ClickShare was a device that plugged into the USB port of a compute, and when you press the button, you're able to share your screen automatically. That was the whole concept of the ClickShare. There were different flavors and versions and numbers of ClickShare devices, but that was pretty much the thing, right?
Yeah, so we started, I mean, over a decade ago with the casting, original casting solutions, and we really haven't changed the basic user interaction since then, which is, most people will recognize, a Barco button within a meeting space and the ability to just plug in, at the time it was USB-A, now it's USB-C, to be able to share. Now, as far as how we connected to the displays in the room, that was usually through HDMI. Obviously, things have changed and advanced over the course of time. So about just before COVID, about 4 years, a little over 4 years ago now, we introduced conferencing. What that did was allow our base chassis, our hardware unit within the room, to be able to connect to more than just the display. So we could take advantage of the microphone, cameras, and speakers that were connected in that space and hand them off to the connected device through the button or through our software application. That was awesome because it allowed for hybrid calls and connectivity, and you were able to make a call on any platform while still leveraging the investment that you've made into your meeting rooms. Since then, last year, we actually brought out the CX50 Gen 2. And what that really did, and kind of breaking some barriers, is that we actually can now take advantage of some of those bars that you spoke of earlier that have codecs in them or have the Android processing in them and are running either a Teams room or Zoom room on Android to be able to tap into that HDMI ingest that's on the back of those devices. So even when they're running native Teams or native Zoom room applications, you're able to switch to what they call BYOD mode, which for us is the wireless connection. So in those situations, we were able to switch in and out of a Microsoft Teams environment or a Zoom room environment so that you can ad hoc screen share. Potentially, if you're in a Teams call, you can bring a guest in just by handing them a button instead of having to go through getting them on a guest network, getting them a meeting invite, getting them connected, things along those lines. And the last thing was also that interoperability. Because we can switch it into BYOD mode, we can take advantage of those the microphone, camera, and speaker that are in those devices and hand them off wirelessly to the device in the room. So even when you're in a Microsoft Teams room, you're still able to make a Google Meet call off of your laptop or any other specialized UCC platform that you might engage with. If you're in, finance or in medical, there are certainly some, pretty proprietary platforms that come within there. And now we're saying the next step for us was bringing these two types of technology into one device. So we have audio and video capabilities now integrated with the ClickShare conferencing capabilities that the market has really resonated with over the last few years. And we did this for a couple of reasons. One is simplicity, just for deployment's sake and being able to maintain. It's always easier if there's less pieces of hardware in the room, less connections between devices that could become unplugged, things along those lines. And then also because we see more and more of the smaller spaces being outfitted with video. And once you start to outfit with video, it starts to become a situation where having an HDMI cord or just having a USB-C connection back to the solutions in the room can start to become a little bit challenging. And so in that space, we found that this sort of a solution really can resonate with that challenge that IT managers are facing and really address some of the in-room workflows that folks are looking for, especially within our own footprint that we have, where we've got a fair amount of enterprise customers who have us in medium and large rooms, but some of those smaller to medium rooms, as of today, we haven't been able to provide that standard approach so that they can really adopt it and deploy it across all of the spaces.
So talk me through the signal flow so that I understand what's
Sure.
going on. If I'm using one of these cameras in a BYOD room, which is one of the possibilities based on the design criteria, the camera is connecting back to the compute via the same wireless channel that the share was working on, correct?
Correct. Yes, through the same exact user experience. You still go through and just plug in the USB button, press your button to activate. It will then take control of the display at first because you're just content sharing. And as soon as you go to activate anything that would need the camera, the microphones, and the speakers, it will pop up to say, use the room system or give you the choice, depending on which platform you're using, to also use your personal device. You kind of just make that choice at that point in time, and it will leverage the microphone, camera, and speakers back to your device.
So again, the only connection to that, PC, notebook, or whatever you're using is that one button, and it's processing the audio and the video in all directions. Local sharing,
Correct.
remote sharing, camera, audio, everything, all going through the PC's codec, and everybody's happy with that.
Yes, that is the approach that we go through, and there's multiple ways you can do it. You can either do it through the ClickShare software app, which you can install on your PC, so you never need a button. And on certain, especially within the enterprise, some companies have decided to deactivate all USB, ports on their devices, so that application works to satisfy those workflows. And then anybody that does still allow the USB, and especially for guests, the button approach is, of course, very seamless, and you can run that either in conjunction with application, or you can run it just off the button. So you don't need to actually activate software, download, or register, or do anything like that to be able to just plug it in and share.
All right, and then the other possible workflow, as you mentioned, I think you said it on the higher level bar, is that I could have an in-room based compute device, whether that's a PC or something else, that has my collaboration software on it. So I don't have to use my notebook for that. The connections there would be obvious, but I'm now using my compute device to be able to share when I want to share, invoking just, again, using the regular ClickShare, because it's now built into the bar that we're all using for the call.
Yes. So in that situation on the Pro Bar, if you were to connect a wired PC, and potentially that wired PC would have a tabletop controller with it because you're buying some sort of a room application with it in that bundle, you would then connect that to the ClickShare Bar. The ClickShare Bar would still do the wireless conferencing for when you needed to make, just like what we were talking about with the CX50, in the sense of switching back and forth between the native experience of the room experience, or I need it to be in BYOD functionality mode. And so we do that same switching on the bar. It's just basically an inverse of the signal routing or directionality as what we do when we're in conjunction with a partner in between us and the processing.
Okay. All right, so that's pretty understandable, although I'm sure I'm going to have to put it up on the bench and kind of plug it in and play with it and make sure that I really understand which way the signals are flowing and how the charge is moving. But, I'm just a visual thinker, so I need it on a whiteboard.
The important piece is, from an end customer perspective, your interactions stay consistent regardless of if you were to deploy, with a collaboration bar from one of our, partners from Logi or Poly or Jabra, as it would be as if you were to deploy with the bar and a side PC. Now, granted, that PC would be Windows, assuming, versus an Android, so there are differences there. But the idea would be that your end users do not see a difference in their interaction in the room. They see a completely seamless, consistent flow, whether they're in the Teams experience, a Zoom experience, or from a Rooms perspective, or in that BYOD experience that we bring to the table.
Okay, so that aside, confusing as it may be for me, but I'm an old analog guy, B and C is R minus Y, B minus, well, anyway. Talk to me about the camera and the audio processing. Is there, is it able to make shots? Is it EPTZ? Is it auto tracking? What's interesting about the device itself, apart from the ClickShare?
Yeah, absolutely. So on both devices, we have the same EPTZ camera there and a 6 microphone array, as well as 2 speakers. Those stay consistent across both bars. The area where we have improved performance are around some of the added AI on the camera and on the audio on the Pro Bar. So there is some basic group framing and things available on the core. But once you get to the Pro, then we can have speaker tracking, dynamic views, things along those lines that you're looking for. And then same thing with audio, where there are some enhancements that we are able to bring out here. And I don't want to speak to too many of the specifics on them because we are rolling them out between now and InfoComm. And so I want to make sure that I'm staying on brand, shall we say, right now. But you'll hear more about those AI features being enabled between now and June. As you can imagine, when we're rolling out a first generation product in a new category for ourselves, we need to be careful about how we're turning things on and making sure that things are rock solid as we're rolling them out. So as of today, the Core and the Pro are available to purchase and order. And of course, the core functionality is enabled across both of those bars, but there are some little feature sets within the software side of things that we're still turning on as this spring goes through.
Okay, that's great. So give us some of the metrics on it. What's you said they're available to purchase right now. What are the list prices? Any special deals going on?
Yeah.
What's the story with getting them?
So I'm going to speak in U.S. dollars, but from Barco's perspective, dollars and euros pretty much always have equated. So you can apply the same currency, but it's the same amount in both regions. For the core, it's $29.95, and then the Pro is $39.95, and then we have a $500 promotion on the launch of the product this spring, which means that the core is at $24.95 and the Pro is at $34.95.
Okay, and those are list prices, obviously.
Yes, those are list prices, of course. And but the one of the key things that we really look at is, especially when you look at the portfolio of ClickShare products and the value that we bring there, I think that it's fair to say that we are considered a premium product within our category, and this is no different in this new market for us. And while there are a lot of commoditization on the bar side, we feel that the ClickShare capabilities and the differentiation we bring to this, still keeps it in the realm of being a ClickShare portfolio product first, not just kind of like a BYOD video product that then we'll bring out later down the road, ClickShare added on and things like that. So the big market message really to take away would be that this is definitely a ClickShare base portfolio product. This is not us trying to branch out far away from our core central capabilities and expertise. And I wouldn't take away from this that you're going to see a whole line of plug and play USB cameras and microphones and speakers and things like that coming from us. We're not planning to move to be a core AV competency company. We are an AV, meaning specifically to the audio and video peripherals. We are much more and see ourselves within visualization and really being able to both render complex data, but also be able to analyze that complex data. And so that's at the core of Barco across all 6 of our business units. And within ClickShare, you're going to see us really stick to those core competencies over the next few years.
Okay, that's great. I'll definitely have to get one from you because it's always the proof is in the pudding around the camera. I definitely want to make sure that the shot's good. But I got to be honest with you, I'm struggling to think that I'm going to have a better bar than this ClickShare bar. The one made of chocolate. I think that's probably it's the least expensive. It's the lightest. It was the easiest to get. A lot of features. It's going to be hard to beat in the industry.
You could argue it's the only one that actually gives you back something during the day, whether that be energy, enjoyment. I mean, most of the bars, you just kind of use them and then leave them in the room. That one you got to take with you. And one afternoon when you're on a sugar low, it'll get you through the rest of the afternoon.
There are more comparisons to some of the schlocky bars out there in the industry too. You notice that it's somebody else's bar, but you just put a wrapper around it. So
yeah,
that's an interesting thing that's happening in our industry. So what the heck? Dan, if somebody wants more information about the ClickShare products in general and this one specifically, or wants to reach out to you, how do you suggest they do that?
Yeah, well, first off, you can find me on all of the major social platforms, LinkedIn being my primary. Just look up my name, Dan Root. I'll be right there. Same thing with Twitter. And then I would say if you're looking for questions around, ClickShare solutions and things, we are huge in the channel. I promise you, if you have an integrator that you already work with, if you ask them about Barco, they will absolutely be able to answer those questions. But if you'd like to talk directly to us, barco.com, LinkedIn, you can look at ClickShare by Barco. Same thing on Twitter. We're also on Instagram. That one still kind of hits me a little weird because I'm like, we're usually not what you see in front and center, but we do have an Instagram. And so you can find us across all of those channels. We monitor them. And if you have any questions, you just reach out and our team will make sure that you get a response from the proper resource there.
Well, if you have an Instagram, then you should go and use Threads because I've been using that one over what used to be Twitter. It's just a little less controversial lately. But Dan, thanks very much for joining us here. And I'm sure that I will run back into you in June at Infocom, which is in Vegas this year. Look forward to that and look forward to chatting with you more at many other events.
Well, thanks again for having me. It's been great to be here. Look forward to seeing you in Vegas in June. And until then, have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much, Dan. And thank you very much for tuning in every week and seeing what's going on with us at UC Weekly News. I'm your host, David Danto. We will see you on next week's show.